Hello there YouTube, I just wanted to show off how to abuse Kayle early on so that she doesn't reach her scaling point as Aatrox, but it will generally work with many other champions such as Darius or what have you. It doesn't have to be necessary Aatrox, you can abuse her with any early game champions. Now what you need some level of jungle assistance, of course, right? You need to know when to freeze, you need to know when to dive her, of course, right? Alone or with your jungler or with your mid laner, right? Or when to invade Evelynn, because early on Kayle is a weak champion, right? So in here we decided to invade, right? Because they are really bad at against invaders in general, right? And we can see in here nothing happens because they weren't really here, they were AFKing, so it's whatever, I guess. And here is the Evelynn, and we couldn't catch her as she went downwards, right? And we tried to sit in here, but with no success, so it's kind of like whatever, so not much happens. But we are gonna turn on Epic Pen as well, of course. We decide to stay with Wukong because we would win a 1v2 against Evelynn, 2v2 I mean, against Evelynn and Kayle if they show up randomly, right? So we didn't know, of course, Kayle went, Evelynn went downwards, we don't know where he is, right? Now in here it's revealed because, but we didn't know where she is, right? So we just stood in here and we stole her buff, right? And ideally our bot laner should like ward the bot side so she doesn't steal as well. Okay. So in here we can see we just steal it, you know. Completely you can do it against Kayle if you feel like. You can even late invade, which is a really good idea, right? And here we go back to the lane, right? Okay. And in here I just start picking up these minions slowly. Sadly I could only pick up one. I messed it up a tiny bit. So she lost actually 3 minions, 3 XP of minions. Then she TP'd back to lane, which is kinda unfortunate, but I didn't even know she had to TP back. So she has like a set, she's a little bit behind, right? But now we can observe she has boots, right? And she has 2 potions. She brought boots because mobility is really valuable in this matchup, which can allow her to sidestep my QW more easily, which would be otherwise lethal to her, or it would take too much of her HP now, right? Now in here I'm trying to pressure her away from last hitting, from Eing with my W, right? So you generally want to make your W second. Your Q is usually less so valuable because if you QE forward, you give up 2 abilities and you're also pushing the wave and it may or may not hit, right? But the problem is in here, like he has boots, so it's kinda hard to hit your Qs in general, right? So that's why I made my W, so I can secure my Qs more easily. And here I step up, I W, and I could then go forward to try to poke her, but I felt like since she has boots, she will just walk out of it and I will lose cannon if I overchase, right? So it's actually better to pick up cannon than try to force to hit the third Q, which is really not likely gonna happen, right? Second or third Q, right? So I just rather choose to last hit the cannon, right? Okay. In here Wukong is patting downwards, or he's actually picking up his own jungle, of course. He's taking his bot side right now. I'm just slowly pushing, looking for all-in opportunities, of course, meantime. And I know Evelynn is topside. I know Evelynn is topside because if she didn't start from red, she should then start from blue, ideally, right? Or from our bot side, because our bot laners didn't ward, so we don't know it, but he actually started blue. Spoiler, he actually started blue, right? And I know Evelynn is here, but I'm not even warding because I'm stacking up a big wave, and I know for a reason if Evelynn ganks, they can't actually 1v2 me. They just simply can't. Because there is a gigantic wave around me, right? Okay. Now I go down to check Scuttle Scrub, but probably should then rotate earlier, then I would deny her the Scuttle Scrub. But the problem is then she would have some type of freeze, which I would of course break, but and I also could then actually danger ping mid lane because I knew she took Scuttle and she went mid, so she would spare her flash. It was like a slight mistake from my side, of course. In here I went for a QE poke, of course. Often that's the best you can do against Kayle, so like whatever. Yep. So in here, no, Evelynn could hover, so I left the ward in here, right? So if she comes all the way back in here, then she can gank me. But generally, it's really difficult to gank me right now because I have so much like stats in here, and have lots of healing, they don't have ignite, so it's really hard for me to get ganked by a level 3 Evelyn. She's level 3, right? So I don't really feel, I mean, I didn't even have wards, to be told, so not much I could do about that. I'm zoning her, look, I'm queuing her. I don't allow her to get the cannon for free, right? And this is what most of the low elo people would allow it, right? They wouldn't like step up to zone, they would back up for some random reason, right? Like, look, in here, we don't give cannons for free, right? I step up, like the cannon is about to die, right? You gotta observe your own minions as well, right? Not only the enemy champion and the enemy minions, right? And in here, look, I step up and I zone her away completely from the cannon. Or she actually picks it up, I think. But for what price, right? Losing more than half of your HP is generally not worth to, it's really not worth to lose more than half of your HP for a cannon, right? So that's a trade, right? You got to trade something, right? She needs to sweat for every bit of CS, and now the wave is pushing towards us. Which is actually putting her in an insanely bad spot, because right now I'm not gankable. She's way too low on HP, right? And even if Evelyn shows up, I'm not gankable because she's way too low on HP, right? But generally means that this will push towards me, and the enemy jungler can't really like unbreak this freeze, just like that. Also, Kayle has like literally no damage because he started boot, so she can't really like do much. Also had flash up in the worst case scenario, so if things go wrong, I just flash up. In here I poke, I W, I miss it, and she flashes because she would be pulled back, right? So I ping the flash, soon I will ping the flash for Wukong, which means it's easier to gank top. Also, Wukong sees that I have a freeze, but there was like one time I told him I have a freeze. In lower ranks you should tell your jungler you have a freeze, top lane has no flash, right? In here I pinged his flash later on, and Wukong sees I have a freeze, but in lower ranks just tell your jungler you have a freeze, and you can gank Kayle because he's not 6 yet as well, right? That's like really good, if you can do that. Like communication can win you, right? Like there is not much to do right now. We are just last sitting, we are chilling in a freeze, she most likely resetted, right? To get her items, because she can do anything in a freeze, right? So then you can just communicate, right? Like you should spend some time with communication as well, right? And here we can see I ping her flash, of course. Now he pings his low on Gromp, but I don't think so Evelyn has enough balls to actually like steal those camps. But there is a ward where that actually can happen, right? Okay, so in here I'm just freezing, keeping the freeze of course. In here I do not have E, but you should fish as much as possible for poking opportunities of course. And in here he walked downwards when I queued, I think, and I should then like predict downwards. Like in my mind I was like she gonna go downwards, but I queued upwards for some reason. Okay, in here I just ult. I don't care about the cannon, don't care about anything, I W for her, right? Q, she dies. Just like that. So in here I lose cannon, I was aware I will lose cannon, but 1 kill is worth for a cannon, right? And now what do? We don't have to push out the wave. We don't have to push out the wave at all. Again, just hold the freeze, because Wukong is hovering around, he's stealing the enemy buff of course, right? We could also push this and help him, but Zoe is already here to cover him, right? So they don't necessarily need my help since Kayle is level 5, so even if he rotates somehow, but we see Tristana is mid, so this should be generally safe, right? Even if she somehow rotates, I don't think so she would do this jack shit, so I decide to hold my phase instead of trying to, and I trim a little bit the wave of course, you gotta trim it so you don't take too much damage when you try to hold the freeze of course, right? And in here we are just chilling in a freeze, and slowly I will push, because we know for a reason she has no 6 yet, right? So I can push and we can dive her, but if she steps up and Wukong is here I can flash on her as well, right? So watch out what I do here. I actually just flash on her, look.
Red team has slain the dragon.
In here I just commit. And this is what you should do, right? This is what you should generally do, because she has no flash and she's not 6 yet, right? So it means if Wukong is hovering around, then we can just all in her like this. Even try miss my Q, it's not a problem, because the point is to pull her back, right? And to set up the gank, right? You don't even have to deal too much damage to Kayle, your point is just to set up a gank with your abilities, right? In here I'm actually just pushing, because we could dive her because she's not 6 yet, right? So I just simply commit to a push. Wukong could also come back, right? I W, I shove this. In here I decide to reset. But what you could also do, you can also proxy her and disallow her from getting in here. But that can be a bit risky, because if Evelyn is somehow topside. There's a ward where you die, but Kayle is on 6 yet. You might be able to disengage somehow. Maybe you can disengage somehow with your ult, but I don't have ult up. That's like a bit up to you. Like I had 2400 gold on me, so it's generally not really worth risking it, right? But you can gatekeep her if you choose to play more aggressively. Also, Whip was a mistake. You should go for Caulfield Warhammer because she's level 6. Against range champions, Caulfield is generally better because it provides cooldown. The Whip provides 5 more damage and 84 activatable damage, right? But Kayle is ranged, which means most likely you won't get too many like whip procs on her, right? So you would value generally more cooldown to spam your poking abilities, your ranged poking abilities more at her, right? And here I just commit, I poke her, right? I'm chipping her HP down slowly because Wukong is around, so we can die, we can force out her ult and then walk away and die for again, right? I'm slowly pushing this a tiny bit. I got my level up, I poke her again. I hit my Q, W. I didn't Q in time actually, I should have Q earlier. Then she would lose, she would be under half HP. I'm zoning her again from cannon. And I have a freeze as well. Now I see Wukong is committing, I Q as well. And I don't let it go, right? We kill her, you know. And this is where like most of the low players would just get scared of, you know. Like you go in, you commit, right? And in here I could then Q upwards. It was just a mistake from my part. And in here, like most of the low elo players, they wouldn't commit to this fight, you know. Just because Kayle ults, they would just back up, right? But there is no reason for you to back up, right? Because if you look at the stats, right? So from E you get 30 Omnivamp, when your ult is on you get 25% self-healing, you have Triumph healing if you kill somebody, of course, right? Which means we can tank some tower shots, then get out, right? So in here there is no reason, like both of us are almost full HP, her ult is expiring, which means with the speed I have, right? We can just simply force a dive, right? You can just force a dive. Just like that. Now in here Wukong tanks. Ideally I should tank, but since junglers have such a good sustain in the jungle, for example if Wukong takes his Gromp, he's already full HP. But he resets, yeah, oh, he resets for the huh? It's totally fine. It's totally fine what he does. So he TPs, I go down, I take her ward out. It's actually kinda risky what I did, probably you shouldn't even go for the ward, just back off and ward for yourself, right? It's really kinda risky what I did. It's high risk and low reward because Tristana and Evelyn could be possibly here because they are not really mid lane. So it generally means it's not worth what I did. Don't risk for a ward for real. Now in here I stood in the second bush, not in the first one, because it would be in vision if I would walk this way, I do believe. And also usually Kayle players queue this bush, but they don't queue this bush, right? Or people ward this bush more often than the second one, so it's least expected, right? I poke her with a Q, I EQ, W goes in. And in here I could then possibly just hover around, and my ult would be back when she gets pulled, my Q would be back when she gets pulled back, so maybe I can get the Q off. Yeah, I think if I hovered around it, yeah, it would be sort of up. Then I could then go for a QE, even if I get a tower shot, it should be worth. Because I will heal back partially from it. Or if I would have cooldown like Caulfield Warhammer instead of this one, I would already have Q up there, right? And so that's why like Caulfield can be better as well, right? So we can see the whip and Caulfield differences. I tried to pressure her a bit, but I missed my first Q, and she didn't got pulled back sadly, so couldn't do much with her. I took her E, and I killed her. But I would auto her, but she flashed the auto attack, so we couldn't do much about that one. Okay. We are simply pushing in here. Like that, and we take one plate slowly and we just recall and we come back. There's not much happening right now. You can see it visually, there's not much happening. But you can see the difference is I frozen her, she died quite a lot of times. There is like a big kill, we have one plate, we have a lots of kills. We have a lot of CS, way more CS than she does, right? So in here generally I should ban by a control ward, but as safe as I feel, I don't believe I could even get like 1v2'd by Kayle because she's really behind and by Evelyn. So, but normally you should buy a control ward, place it in here, you know. Definitely you can play around, I could then play around Evelyn ganks more easily, but I don't believe, I didn't believe that Evelyn would be here because it's really hard for them to ever kill me because I heal so much. Plus they don't have any type of ignite or anti-heal, so it's really difficult for two AP champions to deal with me because their AP damage is even reduced by 35%, right? I have a lot of HP healing, so it's really hard. I was like, it's not even a consideration for Evelyn, but you can play around it with control wards definitely. That's the safer play. In here the wave is slowly pushing towards me again with these 3 minions. What I did as a mistake, you shouldn't do this. Shouldn't do this because these minions will die from your own wave, from your big wave. You should then pull them upwards with the next upcoming wave and then the wave will push towards you, right? But this was like a slight mistake from my part. Then I could have a freeze, right? You can visually see that in here I shouldn't probably kill these minions so quickly with my last hits as well, of course, right? Maybe I could then wait on last thing, right? So in here I could then pull them upwards, then go into the bush and then the next wave. So wherever your wave is, that's where the enemy wave is as well, right? You can see it's the same. It's at the tower, right? So you can track the waves, of course, right? And if I would pull up this wave and the wave would connect with this wave, it will push towards me, but if I don't do it, it's less likely that that will happen, right? Because you need at least 4 minions with full HP to freeze. With 3 minions you can't really. Look, they don't really freeze. As we can visually see, they don't really freeze, right? They all die slowly. And this is not necessarily a freeze in here. So in here she's hovering downwards like Evelyn is around. But at the same time I felt like it's just a bluff. I legit felt like it's a bluff. Also I was quite confident how behind both of them are. It's not really likely they can kill me without me being able to disengage with flash or ult, right? I have a lot of healing as I said before, so I'm not really afraid of Evelyn at this point of the game, right? Now in here I back off, but my Q and D is coming back, right? So in here she gets a bit too overconfident and she gets killed because she got too overconfident, right? I W her, I Q, I ult. I should have maybe called into my Q until her ult comes up, because it's waste of animation, like you're in a Q animation in midair, and instead of that I could then move forward instead of using my third Q. It would be definitely better. Okay. In here we are just pushing and all. Yep, pushing. And we are picking up the plates. Now watch out what I do right now. I'm picking up the plates, of course. And she comes back in 2 seconds, in 1 second, right? So generally she will come back after 20-30 seconds, right? So we have time to shove this wave before we proxy her, right? Now since I'm this ahead and we well know where the enemy wherever the enemy support is, right? We don't know where the enemy how's it called? In here I'm just zoning. I don't allow her to come back. I know she has no flash, no ult, right? So I can even possibly even die for if I hit everything, right? So in here I just zone her from the minions, right? Skip zoning. Now this is risky to do, so it's up to your own decision. Because if Tristana collapses with Evelyn, then I might be dead in here, right? I might be dead, right? So it's up to you if you wanna risk it. Also, we don't exactly know where Lucian is either, so it's up to you if you wanna take the risk. But in lower ranks, people would almost never collapse on you. Right, and now I'm zoning her, so watch out. I'm not destroying the tower intentionally, right? I'm zoning her away from the wave, right? I'm picking up the wave because I got really insane AoE damage, right? You can all see that, right? And in here I could then pick Wukong to cover me. If Wukong covers me, it's really likely we can 3v2 this, right? 3v2 this fight. Or 2v3 if you like that way, right? So without Wukong cover, it's more risky what I did, right? Up to you if you wanna play with more risk or if you wanna play more consistently, right? But this can pay off as well, right? If they don't rotate, of course, right? So in here she's losing continuously XP and gold, right? We can see to the tower, and I don't destroy it, right? I don't destroy it. I allow the tower to destroy as many minions as possible before I get the tower, right? There is no need to rush because I have control over if I wanna destroy the tower or not, right? I have complete control over that, right? So I allow it to deny more and more, right? And I don't she went downwards, but I didn't allow her. And now Evelyn comes and I dash through the wall. I just dashed through the wall, right? So that was my escape pattern. And in here she just gets caught. I don't know why did she think she can fight an Aatrox. And in here she gets caught, and in here I commit. I commit because I can flash out in the worst case scenario. I know she has no ult, right? And I get the triumph feeling, right? I Q, I missed it, I Q again, I and I'm out. So in the worst case scenario, if you have flash up, you can just force to dive. Like they have insane damage, they are really ahead, right? So it's really easy to secure a dive on a Kayle with no ult. Should constantly track the cooldown of her ultimate and her flash as well. So just so you guys visually see, her ultimate has like 160 cooldown, I do believe, but I think it might be 240. I think it's like 160, but let's check it. So at level 6 it's... Oh, it's 160, yes. But she has cooldown from some type of source. She has Drake. Oh, she has Drake. So generally it's 160, I do believe, or 170. I don't know exactly. Maybe 180. You can fandom it up, of course. But now she has 6 cooldown reduction from the Drake, from the Hex Drake. So it's 150, right? Flashes are always like 5 seconds, of course, right? 5 seconds, I mean 5 minutes, and you constantly gotta track it, right, like a Trindamir rule, which means that you can, like, Kayle not having ultimate means lots of things you can do with her, with your team, right? Okay, now we collapse on her again, I mean I collapse on her, I missed my Q, oh no, I would hit it actually, but she flashed it. And now, look what I don't turbo shove the wave with the rest of my Qs. I allow the minion wave to destroy these minions that were in here and the cannon as well, right? I don't have to rush because there are no camps together right now, right? If there would be camps and there would be something to rotate for, then I would, but now there is not much on the map right now to fight for. Okay. And I just shoved right after the minion wave killed it. I could then wait until it like kills 1 or 2 minions, but me being on the map and pressuring Kayle is more important because right now I can legit even dive her, and if she ults I just get out of the tower range because I'm so ahead, right? Look at her items, look at my items, right? But what I should man do in here, ideally I should man get a control ward against Evelyn. Ideally, so we know where she is, so she doesn't surprises us under tower, but in here she was revealed, right? Now you can play with more control wards than I did, you can make it definitely safer than I did. This was a really like aggressive play that I went for, right? I just do away and I shove the wave, right? And then I chip her HP down until I can all in her, right? So in here we see I go for Sherilda's Grudge. You don't have to go for Sherilda's Grudge, it's a personal preference for me. Against this team comp you could go Dead Dance, it's really insane because my team has a lot of kill pressure, which means it's really easy to get resets on it. And they have a lot of squishy champions, they're not too tanky most of them, which means they're really easy to be killed by you or by your teammates. I like Sherilda's Grudge because it provides penetration, cooldown, the slow itself is really good for Aatrox, so you can connect your Qs more easily. In general, you can be more sticky. It's really like a personal preference for me. I usually go for it when I'm really ahead, right? It helps me a lot to snowball. Because in this game, it's not necessary for me to rush second item Dead Dance or more. You can just go more offensive, but it's up to your preference. And again, this can be a preference as well. And in here I force a dive. I'm well aware that she has ultimate, right? But I'm full HP because Gore Drinker healing combined with your ultimate self healing, with your passive healing and all that, right? You have more Omnivamp from your E, right? Of course when you ult, so you can just do this, right? When you're this ahead with the Kayle, because she has no CC. She died. Like she couldn't maybe react to ult, I don't know what happened, but you can see I was full HP, almost full HP, with flash up, right? So there's not too much risk out of doing this, right? You gotta know when to commit for these type of dives with Aatrox, right? So we see the Tristana, don't do anything with her, I pick up the minion, then I pick up her frags, right? We don't leave the frags for the enemy Tristana, for nobody else, right? In here Evelyn collapses, I eat to the wall and goodbye. Goodbye Evelyn. Now I steal her land, but something this is a bit sketch as well because Lucian is missing, Tristana will be missing soon, Evelyn will be missing soon, so It's a bit sketch what I did in here, but at the same time they don't really know where my teammates are, so they could be here as well. So this is kind of a risky play. And I would say I wouldn't really necessarily recommend you to do this. You could then just leave the whole thing, because you could then collapse on. But at the same time, if you think about it, if you pull it downwards with your Q, of course, even if they collapse on you, right, you can just E out or flash out, right? So you should definitely keep your E instead of resetting your E, so you can get out in the worst case scenario, right? But apparently they didn't collapse on me for some... I mean, in here it was warded against Lucian. So if you can pull it downwards and we have some wards, we have some vision where they are, then it's fine. It can be totally fine. Or if you kite it downwards, of course, don't hold it in the middle. So you give yourself more space to escape. Also make sure you have an E up to escape, right? Okay, we just pick up the minions and keep splitting. In here I play a bit with too much balls, because only Kayle is revealed on the map, and since they can't contest Drake right now, they could all collapse on me, because there isn't actually a better thing to do beside maybe defending mid lane from Zoe, but there is like time for them, right? So in here I should then actually back off or ward this area, right? Yep, I should then play it a bit more safely. I mean, it's kind of hard for them to collapse on me, but there is a ward where I actually die from this, so generally you don't wanna play this aggressively when your team is cross-matching a Drake. You want to get the Drake for free without you killing yourself, right? Okay. Let's pick up the minions in here, and even in here I could just simply back off. Anybody could be around. So Malphite is revealed for now. Evelyn is revealed, right? Tristana. I could then possibly even ping Tristana for my teammates, so Senna wouldn't die, right? That she's patting downwards, so that was like a mistake from my side, because I clearly saw her that she's going downwards, of course, right? In here I flashed on her, and I hope she has no ult. I didn't know she had no ult, so if you don't know if she has ult or not, best if you don't flash, because flash has such a long cooldown compared to her ultimate, so again, it's up to your choice if you wanna do that. Sometimes it will pay off if it's not up, sometimes it doesn't. But I didn't really have the information that Evelyn has no ult, right? So you can play a bit more consistently, of course, than I do. And I picked up his tower, now we back off. As I was to say it here. Yep, we just skip. In here I fight them. I intentionally don't E out. I want to chip down Malphite's HP before I E out, because it's really likely he wouldn't ult me, since they can't really burst me down. Oh, he didn't even have ultimate, I didn't know that, but even if he had ult, in 1.5 seconds they can't realistically kill me, right? So I wanted to chip down a bit his HP, then leave the area with my easy ult, right? Then I just E out. But then again, I didn't have the info, but I wouldn't probably die in 1.5 seconds. I was nearby the wall, so I just E through it, right? Also I had ult up, so can heal over it. Okay, now I need to skip a tiny bit, nothing happens, of course, and in here the game's over from this point, right? The game's pretty much over from this point. Kayle went 0-8, so we can see this is what happens when you play with a jungler on top lane, right? This is what happens if you know how to manage your wave, know when to die for, of course, play around your strength, right? That's it for now, because in here there is not much that is negative. The game is gonna be slowly over. We take Baron, of course, out of our advantage, so there's not much to say. The game is just over from this point, right? Also, this was a 400,000 mastery point skill player, so we can say he doesn't have any experience, right?